Hi guys, my name is Liam and today I have 3 new suicides for you. The Whirly bird, the inverse slap suicide, and the Tomicide. So first of all, the Whirly bird. You might have heard this referred to as the helicopter or helicopter suicide, something similar. This is probably the easiest of the 3. Before you start, make sure your strings aren't twisted. Start in a right inverse trapeze. You could use a left one if you want, but most people find a right one easier. Make sure that you have a big gap between your sticks as well, and that the sticks aren't really close together. For the next step, you need to swing the left stick away from you, like a horizontal suicide. The stick should then complete up to 3 rotations around the main bunch of string. Any more than 3 will make the release difficult or just impossible. For the release, despite the extra wraps, it still releases like a normal inverse trapeze, even though it doesn't look like it should. So some important things to remember for this trick. You need to make sure you leave enough space between the sticks to complete 2 or 3 rotations, and make sure that you spin the stick hard enough. If the stick doesn't have enough force behind it, then the stick will fall into the Diabolo and leave you in a massive mess. The other thing is if you find the suicide bit too hard, or you just want to get it done quicker, you could just wrap it around and treat it like a knot, but I find that a bit more boring. So the next trick is the inverse slap suicide. Start by missing a right trapeze in front of the string. Here's a view from the side to give you a better idea. From there, flip the Diabolo up into the string like an inverse trapeze. Then spin the left stick clockwise around the right stick. Rather than catching it, slap it back round again, but this time anti-clockwise, and catch it after 1 rotation to leave you in an open string. Don't go yet, because that is the trick as simple as I can possibly explain it. But there's a lot more to it than it seems. As you're doing the first wraps at the start of the trick, you might find that the Diabolo begins to tilt. The way to fix this is to make sure the loops on the right stick are at the end of the stick. Lots of people, me included, tend to do this first step around the middle of the stick, like this. But this creates a triangle shape that pulls the Diabolo towards you. To stop this from happening, keep the loops at the end of the stick and it won't tilt at all. The next problem you might be having is you're struggling with the slap motion mid-trick. If this is a problem, instead of slapping the stick, catch it and hold it there, then do the second suicide. If you make the 2 suicides get closer and closer so that you hold the left stick for less and less time, eventually you'll find yourself slapping the stick without even trying. To get this motion perfect, you just have to repeat it over and over again, and it'll get right eventually. The final problem you might have is that the stick swings too much of a big circle, that it goes too far away. The fix to this is to make sure that the gap between your sticks when you start the suicide is as small as possible. You want this section to be as long as possible and this section to be as short as possible. This means that when you start the second suicide, the left stick is as close to the right stick as possible, making it much easier to do the trick. If you add all those steps, all those tips, there's no way that you won't be able to do this trick, even if it looks hard. So speaking of hard tricks, this next one might be one of the hardest tricks I've covered on the channel so far. It's also the first integral I've covered on the channel. An integral, for those who don't know, is a trick that if you let go of both sticks and it leaves you only holding the string while both sticks spin around. They involve lots of coordination, lots of skill and lots of practice, but the payoff is being able to do this. So to start off with, you're going to need to have the string in your hand and your right stick spinning in an anti-clockwise direction. If you want, you can spin the stick round your hand lots of times before you start the trick, but I prefer to do it this way. Then, swing the right stick down into the Diabolo's axle, while also letting the string slip out of your hand a tiny bit, so that section gets longer. Having this gap between your right hand and your right stick is crucial to being able to do the trick. Once the right stick gets to your right side again, spin the left stick under the Diabolo anti-clockwise, making sure you're still holding the string. At this point, you should have your right hand holding the string, your left hand free, your right stick pointing right, and your left stick pointing left. Wait for the right stick to complete 180 more degrees, a half circle, then catch it in your free left hand. Finally, slide your right hand up the string until it gets to the stick. You'll be left with your strings crossed. Some of the most important things to remember here are that you need to keep holding the string through the whole trick, and you need to be ready for each step as it comes, because it's a really quick trick. It's got so many steps, but it's over in a few seconds. You have to be concentrating on where the sticks are all the time so you know what to do next. So, that's all for today. I really enjoy these tricks. I think they look much harder than they are. So if you just practice them loads, you'll be able to add some amazing tricks to your routines and that. So be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.